sounds like it's on.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Hi, my name's Shane Whittington. I'm the country manager for Modulyss here in the UK. Just wanted to welcome you all to the showroom on the second day of Clerkenwell. Fantastic day yesterday, very busy in the showroom. Good talks. We had a couple of workshops as well, including wine tasting. So a few of us a bit croaky this morning, so I apologise for that. I've just got a bit of information here. Thank you for turning up today. Today's talk is entitled Beyond One Size Fits All, the Power of Customisation in Human-Centric Design. You've got this, yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Yes, okay. So again, like I said, welcome to Modulyss Showroom. Modulyss are a brand that designs and produces soft flooring solutions with a strong focus on design, wellbeing and creating environments that support people in the way that they live and work. Today's talk starts from a simple but powerful idea. There is no such thing as an average user or typical place. If we truly design for people, we design for difference. As expectations shift, both in workplace and hospitality environments, there is a growing demand for spaces that feel personal, relevant and meaningful. Users no longer want generic solutions. They expect environments that reflect their identity, their behaviour and their culture. For designers, this means moving beyond standardisation and embracing customisation as a tool to create spaces that are intuitive, engaging and emotionally resonant. So we are pleased to welcome Savannah Willits, Associate at PLP Architecture and a team lead of PLP Labs. This session invites you to rethink how design can respond to individuality and how spaces rooted in culture and context can create more meaningful experiences for the people who use them every day. Wow, I'll pass you over.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you all for being here, taking your time to be here and the effort to do so, especially with the loom of strikes this week. And then shout out to the Modulyss team and Amadine for organizing. It's been a great time. All right, and with that, let's dive right into it. So as the introduction said, hello, my name is Savannah Willits, and I'm the team lead for PLP Labs. So beyond the typical architecture services of PLP, there's a lab component that is experimental, speculative, and collaborative. So what that essentially means is we work with people outside the built environment and try to build it into our work. So we've done projects with poets and philosophers to material scientists and autonomous vehicle network providers, and a way to look at their innovative thinking and processes and have that inform our work and what we do. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing currently in the lab and what we're looking forward to near the end of our time together. But for now, we'll focus on customization and local context. So just for reference, I actually don't come from an architecture perspective. I'm not an architect. I come from an urban studies perspective. And so for me, what's interesting about architecture is what do the buildings mean to people and how is it engaged in the broader urban fabric. And it's these relationships with people and place that are the crux of the building and how it operates. Because people and places, they're dynamic beings, they're living organisms, they're constantly evolving and changing and transforming. And so how do you pair that with a building that's long-standing, is supposed to last the test of time, and yet continually meet present-day needs, and then while also providing a universally good basic environment for people to be in, and one that they want to be in. So that's kind of the tension that we'll be focusing on today. But also with that, when we're talking about customization, I thought, why not also customize this talk to the people in this room? So a bit of story time. When I was a little girl, I received a hand-me-down book from my Uncle David, and it was a choose-your-own-adventure novel. And for those who don't know, you don't read the book chronologically. You read the passage, and then you have two decisions to make, A or B. And depending on those decisions, that's what determine where page you would flip to next. And you'd follow this through until the end of where you would end up. So as a little girl, I would write notes on the margins and figure out where are we going, how do I get the best solution or the best way out of this? And that's what we'll be doing today in the talk. So I hope you're ready to be involved because we'll be making decisions to see where this presentation ends up. So it's kind of we'll see how all that goes. But in the meantime, when we look at storytelling, they talk about how the more specific or a story is, the more people see themselves in it. And it's in those details, and that's being specific makes it universal. And I think the same goes for buildings. The more specific you make it and the more specific functions you include, the more people see themselves in the building and more universal it becomes. So, and with that, we'll be like diving in and indulging in the diversity and the complexity of what that involves. So without further ado, we'll be going through two different adventures, two different stories today. And I'm going to start with my person on my left. All right, where do you want to start? We can either go to the City of London, get our suit on, or we can go to King's Cross and get our lab coat on.
King's Cross, get your lab coat.
Let's go. We've got our lab coat on. All right, to set the scene, we're at the Francis Crick Institute in the heart of central London near King's Cross. It's a leading biomedical medical facility. It's one of the best in the world. And it hosts like upwards of 1,500 scientists. It's around 91,000 square meters, and it opened in 2016. So that's kind of where our story starts and what we're working with. So we go into King's Cross, we take the tube in, no strikes. We land in King's Cross, it's beautiful, we're heading to work. Here's where we land, the Francis Crick Institute. But before we actually go into the building, let's get a little lay of the land. Let's figure out where we are, because we're in the Knowledge Quarter. And this is it's a special area in London that's a 1 mile radius big around King's Cross, and is dedicated to science and innovation and technology in a way that's like it's an economic, but also like a scientific powerhouse. You've got some really big players all within the same distance of each other. So we've got like Google and the Allen Turing Institute, you've got CSM, you've got these universities, you've even got the Wellcome Trust, you've got the British Library. Like they're all there, they're all the same radius of each other. And kind of what you see here, kind of a board of everyone that's involved, because it's not just like secretive lab work, it's also very public. It invites the public to be involved in the research that's going on, which is very unusual for a lab of this caliber. Because technically you have like these trade secrets, this secret lab work that's innovative on the periphery of the city, but this one's right in center. It's very public, it's right by King's Cross, and it's very publicly engaging and public focused. So that's kind of the lay of the land that we're working with. But back to the building, let's enter the building, say hello to the receptionist, get a little morning nod. Get probably a cup of coffee at the cafe, but let's get ready to save the world. All right, so my next person on my left, I'm gonna have you choose a picture, and this will decide what we study, because there's 7 interest groups. So, top right, the red one? Yep. Beautiful. All right, we are in let's see if I can pronounce this, immunology interest group, focusing on immune systems and project organisms from pathogens. All right, so that for our adventure today, we'll be looking at the immune system. So now that we know what we're studying and what we're researching, let's go into the office. Could head up the elevator, go down the hallway, but a quick word on innovation. Because this building it's engineered for innovation, and innovation doesn't just happen grinding in the lab day in and day out. It's actually a very collaborative process where you're talking to your colleagues, you're thinking and reflecting on what you're doing. You're writing notes. It's kind of this cycle, and you're mingling with others, and it's kind of this cycle that you go through. And we've also seen this in studies. So when there was a scientific, also biomedical conference, where they did a study and they tracked scientists at the conference for over 6 years. And they found out people who had talked to people who were in adjacent but not identical fields published 1.2 papers more than the average. And so it's kind of that, like, those novel associations, those connections that you're making that lead to collaboration that also then lead to innovation. And that's what this building is engineered for. So you can see that reflected in the architecture. You've got these little neighborhoods, but there's no really strict walls between different research groups. And also the researchers, they share the same equipment. So you're creating that kind of like spontaneous interaction, meeting people, kind of atmosphere that's very dynamic for this type of work to occur. All right, kind of like a little more of the lay of the land. And you've also got this centralized collaboration space that people engage with as well. And that's on multiple levels, with more of the offices on the outskirts. And if we zoom in, you kind of see this interaction where you've got the circulation, the write-up space, the lab, and it repeats. Because we also find that people are more comfortable talking and discussing in more of these neutral spaces that aren't owned by a single research group or interest group. It's more of like this place that you feel you can linger and talk with, especially long hallways. I don't know about you, but I often feel like I have the best discussions when I'm on a walk with a friend. And it's kind of that movement of getting your body moving and also your mind moving that was used in this type of building. All right, so let's get started with our day. All right, my next person, also on my left, what do you think we should do today? We just got to the office. We either can get straight to the lab, we can get another perspective, or we can let's do a quick write-up. What do you think? Let's get another perspective. So we kind of dreamt, maybe we had some dreams about like things we could do today. We go in, we're like, you know what? I had this idea. I want to get someone else's perspective. There's collaboration spaces for that. There's whiteboards. There's places to share your thinking and really kind of pick each other's minds. So we've got that space. All right, next person. What do you want to do next? We want to take a break or continue on with our day? Let's continue. All right, next question. Now that we've kind of got our other people's perspectives, we kind of have an idea of what we want to try, where do we want to go next? Let's go to the lab. Let's get straight to the work. Let's get our lab coats on. And this building, so the labs were designed by HOK and then the building by PLP. And the work with the lab was interesting because these instruments they're using are very precise and they have to be very accurate, which can be kind of a difficulty if you're in central London, because there's a lot of vibrations. There's the tube, there's traffic, there's just the overall city. So there was a lot of engineering done to make sure that the instruments were stable and didn't vibrate and were creating accurate data. So that's what we're doing in the lab, and we're studying the immune system. So kind of fun looking through microscopes. All right, next person. Yeah, what do you want to do? Do you want a time for a break or up next?
I think it's break time.
Definitely. All right, break time. Again, we've got this centralized area where you've got different layers of places you can mingle and talk and kind of take a break, because breaks are actually quite important, especially micro breaks between like 30 seconds and 5 minutes to allow us to recuperate and give you kind of a fresh of mind, especially for knowledge workers. All right, next question, person the blue scarf. All right, do you want to go back to work or do you want to see more of the breakout spaces?
Right.
Definitely. All right, here's more of the layers. It's also interesting because this building, they have really fresh air. So about 450 cubic meters are pumped through the building, which is the size of like one Olympic pool, every second. So sorry, I'm going to say that correctly. You've got 450 cubic meters that goes around per second, and that's like a single Olympic pool that is circulated in the building under every 10 seconds. So you're getting a lot of fresh air for this kind of breakout space. Now that we've done a lot of work, we've done our lab work, we've talked to some of our friends, we've got some ideas, it's time for lunch. We can either go to the cafeteria, but again, we're still in like the middle of King's Cross. We can have a little city excursion. There's the British Library right next door, like literally right next door, where we can meet a friend, go to an exhibit, maybe check out a book, get an idea that we were thinking about. But there's also more of like the blue and green spaces with the coal drop yards. There's the canal. There's these type of park spaces we can eat with our friends. Just a lot of different options. All right, but let's get back to the lab. All right, next person. What do you want to do? Let's get another perspective. All right, just another version of what we've got here, what we can do. But now that we've got another perspective, we can go now to the research panel. Because, as I was saying before, this building is very public, and it's engineered to be so. So they've got these public lectures at the auditorium on the ground floor that are public and private. So as part of your interest group, you'll have these designated lectures throughout the year that you'll attend, but then there's also lectures that the public is invited to attend. So you're really kind of spreading the innovation and the research that you're already doing. So going to the auditorium, checking that out, talking about the building. But also with this outreach of the auditorium, they've also got these revolving exhibits also focused on the research they're doing. And they invite local school children to come in and participate, small children as well as more high school students. And when we talk about what does this building mean to people, it's not only just a place to work, it's a place to collaborate, it's a place to experiment, it's a place to trial and error. It's also a place that you can bring your children and show them what is going on in your field. It's a place you can invite the general public. It's also then a dynamic place you can meet other people in the area, people who are also doing really interesting work in the STEM. All right, now that we've kind of got that under our belt, time to go to King's Cross. We'll take the Eurostar, and we're in Paris just in time for dinner. So that's the end of our first story. But now we've got maybe another story up our sleeve. So we're going to head to 22 Bishopsgate. So now with 22 Bishopsgate is currently the tallest building in the city of London proper. It's 62 stories tall. That's just over 200,000 square meters, or 2.17 square feet. 100,000 of that just dedicated to amenity space. Designed by PLP for AXA Real Estate and Roger Lipton Developments. And what's unique about this building is just how massive it is. It's built for 12,000 people. It's like the size of a village, essentially. And it's all happening in the same building day in and day out. So that's where we'll begin. So we got our first curveball. There's strikes, so we got to cycle in. We'll be strikerless for today. We won't be the only people. They found that cycling has increased 43% over the last 6 years, which would account for 1.5 million cycle trips per day, which is no small feat. So we're riding through Aldgate. We're going to go by the building, continue our commute. We pass by these wind canopies that are kind of a small Easter egg nod to the craftsmanship and the legacy of the City of London and the guilds. We head into the commuter park, and this is where we've got lots of cycle spots. There's about 1,200 cycle spots, 75 showers, and like 1,000 plus places for lockers, including a bike maintenance spot and a wash station. So no matter what happened to you on your commute, whether how dirty it was or how sweaty or just how clean and smooth it was, we've got you covered in the basement where you can start your day. We'll head to the lobby. Again, nod to the craftsmanship. You've got the leather ceiling. You've got these custom oak furniture pieces. But what's interesting about 22 Bishopsgate lobby, it's unlike any other lobby or high-rise lobby in the City of London. And that's because there's no reception desk. Instead, there's no point of access where you go to and then you go on your way. Instead, you have all these stewards that are around there to help you. So, or whether you need help or whether you don't. And they're there with their iPads. They can provide public Wi-Fi, but they're also there for the public because they often do public exhibits here, like the Gaia that I saw last year. And right now there's lots of like big flowers around that they're doing. So kind of this interaction with the public. That's quite interesting and reflected on the city street. All right, now that we've kind of entered the building, we've gone past, we'll head to the elevators. We'll have a pass on our phone that we can pass through. You can also opt into facial recognition as well, if you so choose. We're gonna enter the workspace, and we've got our next question of the day. So person in the back, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna get our coffee first, or do you wanna get straight to work?
Get straight to work.
Let's get straight to work. Let's go bypassing the caffeine. So we've got the exchange on the seventh floor, and this is an innovation business place where you have for small businesses and entrepreneurs. It's more of a place where you meet interesting people and do work the way that you would like. That's how it's set up. So for those who want more of a rigid schedule, want to know where you're going to be, we've got designated desks, or there's more of like places to sit and chat, and there's places that are more like panels where you can go and visit and see what other people are doing in the center. So a bit more of talk panels oriented. So lots of options about how we want to structure our morning. But before we do that, let's get comfortable. So as I mentioned previously, there's an app, and that not only gives you access to the building, but you can also set your lighting preferences and your temperature preferences for your liking. This kind of controls all of that layers. So when we talk about customization, there's definitely a technology layer to this. This is also where you can pre-book your coffee or your meal, your workout class. It's all done here. And it gives you a setup for the day. And that's also because the building takes a million data points per day. It's constantly monitoring the air pressure, the humidity, the light, and kind of sensing problems before they even happen. It's a self-regulating system, which allows it to do so. All right, now time for lunch. All right, next person, what do you think? We can either eat or go out to eat, or we can hit a workout class or a retreat class where we're doing like Pilates, yoga. What do you say? Workout, okay. Let's get a quick workout in. All right, like I was saying, there is personal trainers on in-house. There's also the typical equipment. So if you really want to get into it, you can do some strength training, or as part of the retreat, there's more yoga classes, mindfulness, Pilates. So depending what you're into and how you want to fit your day in, that's possible. You can also, again, pre-book. So it doesn't matter if you are like, hey, I want a more of a chill, relaxed day, or I want to hit a quick workout throughout the day, it's possible. All right, now that we've got our quick workout in, let's get back to the office. And again, when we talk about these really specific rooms, we've got meeting rooms for clients or for yourself. We've got these more casual places to work on your laptop or talk to other people. It's not just this open plan or closed plan where you're sitting on your laptop working alone. There's a lot of interaction that's happening, and you can decide how you choose to structure your day and where you structure your day. It's quite flexible, especially for the hybrid work era. All right, now that we've done a lot of work, let's go to club. We said we got a friend who is giving a talk on one of the top floors, the 57th floor, and they want you to attend that workshop, a center. So you've got like this big auditorium, you have places to do workshops, big speaking events, all of the above, but you also, the layer before, the level before, on top of that, is a public viewing gallery. It's the tallest viewing gallery in the city of London and has widespread views of the city. And this is not just for people in the building, it's also the public can book it for free as well. So kind of quite beautiful-esque. All right, now we've done quite a lot with our day. Let's sign off. All right, next question. What do you think we should do? Should we sign off, go home, or are the conversations flowing and we want to have one more story? One more story, okay. Let's keep the conversation going. Because in the floor above that, we've got a really nice wine and dine situation with also views of the city. So we can get another drink, share another story, maybe get another drink, keep the conversation going for one more story. But again, we're also still in the heart of central London. We're still by Shoreditch for another out and about evening. So that is where we end at Bishopgate. So these are kind of all the places we could have gone today. We hit quite a few. I think the only one we didn't attend today was the urban markets, which is a place where you can have food and drink, coffee, meal, that sort of thing. And when we talk about places that are flexible and places that are meant for different people and working styles, this not only includes the rooms that we're at and the places we are in the building, it also is related to the WELL standard, which is looking at health and safety, well-being. And this building is not only compliant, it's the framework that the design is based off of. It's based upon fresh air and nourishment and fitness and mind and comfort. It's all built within the building itself, as you can see. So here at every level, you're getting your needs met. All right, and it's also related to the wider London trends we're seeing, like the destination city. So you're coming to the City of London for something to do, whether that's to wine or dine or to have a public exhibit. It's also talking to the high competition for grade A office space and the unprecedented skyscraper development that we're seeing. It's kind of fitting all of these major trends as well. But then on the workplace side, we're also seeing kind of this gear towards amenity spaces, living how you want while you're at work, earning that commute. The building is, and more of that collaborative emphasis and the experience you're having. It's very experiential as a way of working, which is quite new and meeting the present needs, despite also just giving a really good basic environment. And with that, we've ended our stories for today, and we'll head to the epilogue. So as I was saying quickly before, with PLP Labs, we're looking at involving things on the outside of architecture into the built environment. And it's also, again, very collaborative. So we've been working with a researcher called Anna Gatto, and she's a lecturer in regenerative design at the University of Westminster. And she did her PhD at Cambridge at CNMI, which is Center for Natural Material Innovation. And this is the idea that you have flexible walls within your residential typology. So instead of having these rigid structures that you can't move, you're having this very dynamic, flexible way of living. So it doesn't matter if you're living with flatmates or you're living by yourself, your partner moves in, you have children, your mother-in-law moves in, someone dies, you get divorced. Like at every stage of your life, you can change the household to fit for you. And in order to do this, we were looking at different prototypes to create these flexible walls and also make them made out of bio-based material. So we were looking at plywood, timber, and we were looking at this method called kerfing. And kerfing is often used in musical instruments, so like violins, guitars, where you cut in a single sheet to make it flexible. And we kind of did a lot of research on especially like the strips of it, like how big, wide or small do you make it and how flexible do you make it? Also looking at computational design of looking at, well, first of all, looking at origami, seeing like how many times can you fold a sheet of paper, how can you make it flexible, then translating this to computational design, and looking at like how many iterations can we create and to model this behavior. And that's what you see then in the fabrication lab, is using a CNC machine to cut through it, create all those different cuts, try different patterns, test the flexibility, see when it breaks, see when it doesn't. And that has led to these different types of panel prototypes, as you see here. But this was the first iteration, and then you've got first iteration, and then you've got more of the ongoing iterations we're doing. And that led to the 2021 London Design Biennale at Somerset House, which was more sculptural, conceptual, and then you have the London Design Biennale in 2023, which is more as a prototype and proof of concept, where we built essentially an apartment with all these flexible walls that you could move around and see what living like in this environment would be like. And this actually won the People's Choice Award, which is quite a nice thing. All right, a couple more pictures of the setting. And then the research that CNMI did as part of this project. So looking at supply chains, especially timber supply chains, looking at the future of flexible housing, engineered timber, how you cut the timber in innovative ways, and then how do you include this flexible model throughout. So a lot of work on their part was done into this. And so now, Anna is now at the University of Westminster, and we're working with her on a government grant to look at how do you take this further? How do you create this into an actual product you can sell people? So we're in the early stages, and we're going to engage clients and communities, developers, engineers, to figure out how do you actually create this into a prototype you can sell. As part of this, we'll be looking at the supply chain, so in the UK, but also looking a little bit outside the UK and how you make this work. And then lastly is finding out, okay, we're using timber in this context, but are there other interchangeable bio-based materials we can use depending on the region and the climate? Because again, you have to make sure it's specific for that region. And that is what we'll be doing, kicking off in July. So quite excited that this has been quite a project, and it's just still getting started. All right, and we'll end there. All right, thank you so much for coming. And the references.
Thank you, Savannah. That was interesting. I hope you all enjoyed it. Do we have any questions at all from the audience? No?
I'm just really interested in this whole labs thing.
Yeah.
So how did that integrate into like the design of these buildings and so on? Like, to what degree are you like conversing with the architects, or is it like you create a booklet, or is it there's a dynamic thing, or do you have things going on quite separately? Like, what's that like relationship like?
Yeah, so PLP Labs, when we start, we first look at a collaborative relationship outside of architecture. So like working with Anna. But also I guess we can use Anna as a really good example of how this type of works. So we looked outside of ourselves. We found an academic who was doing interesting work on the future of housing. And then we helped sponsor her PhD. And then she had a desk in our office that she was working at a couple days, or had her own space at our workplace. And then through that relationship, talking with different architects and her, and figuring out, okay, what does this project look like? How does what your work doing informing how we should be looking at architecture? And it was like that ongoing relationship. And then in this case, it ended up in 2 exhibits as a way of going forward. But there's other projects that result in films or booklets or events. It really depends on the nature of the work that we're doing. Of course, we would like it to be, we're hoping to be even more and more integrated as time goes on. But I think it is still quite conversational in the firm. And it's also like our samples are all over. For example, we've done quite a bit of work on mycelium, which is the underground network of mushrooms. And our samples are all over the office as well. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, very much so. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I'd love to hear about the mycelium as well.
Any other questions from the floor? No? I've got one which is a pre-printed one, so
Great.
bear with me. What role does culture play in shaping high-performance environments, especially in global projects?
I think that the culture is quite important because it's asking who is there and what kind of atmosphere already exists and what's the style of working. And so when you think of the Francis Crick Institute, you've already got this powerhouse of people and knowledge and ideas that are flowing. And so the question is then, how do you design this built environment or a building that speaks to that nature? So making sure it's a good environment, it's a collaborative, dynamic environment that reflects what's going outside the building. And I think that also can happen. I think it's very specific to the region you're in, because not every place is the Knowledge Quarter in the City of London.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for today.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Please feel free to stay with us and continue the conversation with Savannah or with one of the modulyss guys here. We'd love to have a coffee, drink with you guys, and hear about your experiences. So thank you.
Great. Thank you again. Thank you again.
Good, well done.
Thank you.
It was good.
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah. I wish I would have spoke slower, but we're here.
Slower, but
Yeah.
that's what Friday. No, it was okay.
Thank you.
Amazing, well done.
Thank you.
What's the name of that book that you read when you were younger? I'd love
Oh,
to get
it was
for
like
my
a
kids.
choose your own adventure book, and I forget what the title was, to be honest. It had to do with like caves and spies,
Oh.
but I actually was looking for
It
it.
was called something
Like
adventure.
choose your own adventure book.
Choose your own.
It's from like the
I
70s.
had that at home. I remember those very fondly. They're
Yeah.
so good.
It's like it's like something from the 70s or 80s.
I think they were like much more big in America. I don't know
Okay.
how come I had one. I think maybe
Okay.
like I think when I was little, I lived in Greece and I went to
Yeah.
an American school, and maybe
Okay.
that was
That was how you're
Okay,
connected.
I'll
maybe how I got
Google
it. But like genuinely, they're like old now, but
Yeah.
they're like classic.
They're classic. They're
They're
amazing.
So
So
classic.
good for thinking on
I
your
seem to
own.
remember mine had something to do with like genies and something like making
Okay.
wishes and
Yeah.
but they're all got like really different themes. Like they've got like almost like nothing in common thematically. They're all different genres.
They're all very
Okay.
different.
So,
Yeah.
I'll find
But it's
that.
funny because like there's often a lot of points where you die in the book, and so you have to like really choose well.
Okay, you
And
can go back with
yeah.
yourself. and
So
then
what I would
Oh
do
yeah, totally.
is
You just keep repeating the same book over and over
Yeah.
and over again. And just
So that's
find
what-
all
yeah.
of the
exactly.
It's so
Or like at one point I think I gave up and I just started at the end and found the happy ending and like
And
worked
then
my way
went
back
backwards. Oh yeah.
because I was like,
totally.
this is not working.